Hello, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to NoBS. Just kidding about that intro. I thought I'd give you a Netflix styled intro for a Netflix themed show. Today, we're talking about the latest comedy stand up special from Netflix, coming from none other than Dave Chappelle. We're big fans of Dave Chappelle here, as are many across the country. He's one of the biggest and best living comedians of all time. He's really hilarious. He makes lots of edgy jokes still, and he's one of the few ones out there that'll call anyone out. He hasn't caved into PC culture as we've seen time and time again. And now he is doing about the same thing. He's covering a very controversial issue in a very interesting and very hilarious way. We're going to go over that new special today too and get you guys some new information about all kinds of stuff Dave Chappelle's talking about, including the ongoing controversies and the crisis and the pandemic gets addressed and everything. All that's coming out soon. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. Hey guys, today I've got a very special offer for you that I'm extra excited about. And it's very relative to what's going on today. As we've seen, there's been riots and chaos in the streets, and some places are forced to close and board up, and you can't get food in some parts of town. Well, we have a solution, and it's coming from preparewithnobs.com. My Patriot Supply has provided NoBS with an excellent option for some dry storage food. This food is really delicious, it's really affordable, and it can live on your shelf for many, many years. So you can always save it and have it in case of an emergency. And right now, we've seen many emergencies happening and popping up across the country and throughout the world. So buying some long-term emergency storage food is really a must. And if you join today and check out the link, Prepare with No BS, well, you can also save $100 instantly. So it's a really good deal, and it's a really great time to jump in because you're going to get some delicious food. You can use it for many situations, not just emergencies. You could go camping, you could take it on a trip, whatever it may be. Go to preparewithnobs.com, save $100 today, and also support the show while you do it. Thanks for your time. Now, back to today's episode. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Dave Chappelle's new special. It's called 846, and if you hadn't figured it out yet, it's actually a rather good kind of reveal. So let me give you a few spoiler warnings real quick. I'm not going to explain the whole thing at all. There's a lot to go on in this special. It just was released on YouTube and Netflix, and it's about half an hour from as far as I could tell. And it's pretty good. It's hilarious, actually, and also kind of serious, too. Like, it's not the funniest special, not the most laugh out loud thing he's done, because we're kind of in a serious time. So it starts off with some heavy stuff about this whole crisis. He talks about George Floyd, that arrest gone wrong, and then leads into what happened afterwards, talking about these demonstrations, getting wild, rioting in the streets, all that stuff. And I have to say right out the gate, we're certainly not going to agree with Dave Chappelle 100% here. And I don't think anyone's expected to. That's the great thing about Dave is you don't have to be totally politically aligned with him. I mean, he's definitely probably left leaning. I know he gets in our radar a lot, being a conservative myself. We like him a lot, and he makes fun of a lot of things that many liberals wouldn't. But at the same time, he's still on the left side. Nothing wrong with that. He's one of the good ones for sure. And this special kind of exemplifies that. You know, he shows a lot of support for the rioters, showing that he had a lot of anger and was really, really upset when he saw that videotape, when he saw what happened with that arrest that went wrong, caused someone to die. And yes, as you'll quickly find out, that 846 number is indicating the amount of time that he was pinned down in that arrest. It was 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And that's a really long time. Chappelle starts off stressing on that and showing his anger about that. And it's really visceral. It's got a lot of emotion. And I have to say, it's interesting to watch, even if you might not fully agree with that and think, you know, these riots went too far, as a lot of things we've been saying, and a lot of destruction and stuff has caused that. But in this case, I mean, Dave Chappelle certainly makes one of the best cases for it. He shows why he thought it was so bad, why he had such an emotional reaction, how seeing that video can trigger a lot of anger in a lot of people. He understood that, and I think he portrayed it in one of the best ways possible. Certainly something worth seeing, something to watch out for. And as you can see by this clip here, we're looking at the special. It's doing really well on YouTube. It's got over 1 million views already. It just came out like last night, so that's a pretty quick turnaround. And yeah, the other thing I found interesting, let's backtrack a little bit because gets into that after a few minutes. But one of my favorite parts is how they have a nice intro, and it shows how they did this event, because this says it's on June 6th. That's not that long ago. It just happened like less than a week ago. He recorded this stand-up special. So we're still in lockdowns. We're still in safety mode. People are still trying to social distance. And they kind of show you how that works out in the first minute here. You can already see from this first image in 11 seconds. There's the stage. All these chairs are social distance. So there's pairs of people. You can sit with your partner or your friend, but you can't really sit next to other people. There's still a health scare out there. We still got to be safe. This kind of event might not even have happened if they hadn't promised all these tight regulations. And that was very interesting to me. You see people rolling up. They've got these Chappelle show masks. It's got the Chappelle C on it, and they're laughing. It's really moving to see him kind of make the extra effort to have this happen, because not a lot of people could do that. Not a lot of people would have this kind of dedicated fans that would show up for that. Like this is a lot to ask for an audience, and I think it would certainly be worth it if I was interested or in the area. I certainly would have tried to see Chappelle. And they did the right thing. Like I was saying, they did the mass. They had the event coordinators pointing people around. Everyone was separated. It's outside in a field. Dave is under this little thing here, this little grotto. And it's really interesting. And they talk about it too in the special. When he gets on stage, he has his little book. And you could tell it's not like the most 100% of production of a set. Dave even leaves a note in the description saying, normally I wouldn't show you something so unrefined. I hope you understand. So this is the kind of thing they had to kind of change the rules a little bit. It's not your typical stand-up special. They had to do this social distancing. They had to react to events that just happened. He wanted to get that new material in there, and he addresses everything that's going on in the last few weeks. And, this whole arrest gone wrong and the riots is still a pretty fresh event. I mean, it's been going on for a couple weeks, but that's not a long time to plan a stand-up special. If you guys are familiar or have had any kind of experience in comedy, these guys could practice these sets for weeks and weeks and months. They might take a whole year to make a special if they need the time, and they refine each joke perfectly and make sure each beat is amazing. And that's why you could see there's a bit of a rush factor here, but for good reason. I mean, we needed this now, and it's still really great. I don't think it really shows. Like, it's not like it's terrible or it looks really amateur. It's not at all. I really think, he's just used to having just 100% the finest quality. So for this, he kind of had to just kind of wing it and do this kind of live, kind of, rough and tumble kind of format. So he went for it. And I think it shows, and it's going to be really appreciated. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about this again because, Chappelle, and he addresses the issues. He hits a lot of really good points, and that's where I want to move to next. So after he gets through his introduction and talks about some current events and gets into the story, and he explains 846, and then we get to him talking about the media. He brings up a few names in particular that I thought were really interesting and really well done. Specifically, he starts with Don Lemon. We hate Don Lemon too, and he really razzes the guy. I think he deserves it. Like, basically, he addresses this point where Don Lemon was speaking really soon after the event happened, after the tragedy, and he was kind of calling for celebrities to speak out. And as we know now, we're a few weeks later, and we know all the celebrities have spoken out. Like, everyone has had to speak out. Companies, toy makers, video game companies, Nintendo, Sony, Marvel, Star Wars, everyone's spoken out, all the celebrities too. And this was early on, though, kind of Chappelle reflecting on things that happened right after the event. And then he had Don Lemon on the air, and he's trying to tell celebrities, we need to speak out. We need to use our power for good. He's like trying to get all these celebrities to go after him. And what Dave said was really powerful, really well put. And he was talking about how, first of all, he was begging Don Lemon to say his name. He's like, say my name, Don Lemon. Please mention Dave Chappelle, because I guess Don was mentioning specific celebrities, probably some significant black celebrities, like in relation to this event, it all being racially charged and whatnot. And I don't know if he actually did say Dave Chappelle, but Dave definitely remembered, and he points out the fact that celebrities really don't matter like as much. Who cares what a celebrity has to say about this racial event, this kind of big tragedy? Now, I of course don't think it was necessarily racist. We haven't seen any proof of racism. The race baiting in the news and the media made it racial, and so did the rioters. But besides that point, it's there now. The race is a factor now. And the fact that Dave Chappelle is smart enough to know to just stay out, he kind of was saying it like, oh, I'm going to let these demonstrators and the people on the front lines do the hard work. They're needing the rewards. They should be speaking out. We don't need celebrities kind of taking over and like co-opting their whole movement. Dave is just sitting at home. He's working. He's got a family. He's not out in the streets. He's not riding himself. He even says he supports that. He's like cheers them on a little bit, which is something that I again would probably disagree with strongly. But fact of the matter is, Dave says he's going to stay out. He rips on celebrities. He totally goofs on Don Lemon, which was really fun to watch. I mean, we hate Don Lemon, and that was just the perfect way to sum it up. He was like saying something like, "Who cares what RZA thinks about," or I forget what rapper he mentioned. He's like, "Who cares what Snoop Dogg has to say about this police brutality thing?" It's just ridiculous that these celebrities think they're that important. And I'm glad that someone like Chappelle can recognize that. That's something that a lot of our other favorite comics will recognize too. We always see South Park, for example, goofing on celebrities and celebrity activism and how they think they're so important and getting smug. And it's important for them to kind of self-reflect and make fun of themselves like this, because that's what Dave's doing. That's what the Matt and Trey from South Park do. I mean, these guys are some of the biggest comedians. Both of these groups actually happen to come from Comedy Central backgrounds, by the way. But besides that coincidence, they're also having a coincidence in the way they self-deprecate and don't get this ego. They don't let the celebrity get to them. They're still normal people thinking and acting in normal ways. They didn't let all the money and the prestige get to their heads and make them these sorts of activists. Even though maybe possibly you could consider their art in some way. I wouldn't say activism though. I think they send out messages and say things in their own voice, and they make a point. They make points like South Park episodes do, like Chappelle Show episodes did, and now his comedy specials do as well. He's doing it as an art form, and he's speaking out, and that's okay for them to have a side and take an opinion in that context. But to do it just out in the public, like on Twitter, to just speak out without your art, that's the thing that's stupid. That's the thing that they're talking about that's just terrible here. These celebrities aren't making like poignant songs that happen to reference the event. It's not like a rapper is coming out with a really good track that has to do with current events. I think Nick Cannon actually did something like that. It was really cringy and really awful. And that's actually an example of what they should try to do, but he failed in that respect and did it horribly. But now we're talking about a good example of someone doing it well. And that's why it's interesting and fun to watch, even if you might disagree, even though we could fall on different sides. And each joke here, I might have a different take on this way or that way. But I just love Dave Chappelle so much. I don't even care. It doesn't bother me. And maybe I'm not trying to brag or like say I'm better. I'm just saying I can watch this stuff and not always get triggered. Like I'm not like this hardcore conservative, like purist. Like I think some people might portray me that way or think that way in a lot of ways based on what I make in my videos, but it's not true. I watch a lot of content and a lot of videos and a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. Okay, next, before we wrap things up, I want to talk about one more reference early on in the special. There's a lot more stuff that happens. We're not going to go over the whole thing because I want to save that and let you guys watch it and other people kind of go over it themselves. We don't need to break down this whole thing. But the next reference that I found really interesting and really relevant was when Dave Chappelle calls out Candace Owens. I mean, Candace Owens gets a reference in a Dave Chappelle special. I think honestly, like, I bet you she's stoked about that, even though he digs into her really hardcore. But the thing you got to recognize is whenever you get mentioned in something like this, like in that kind of scenario, it's like you're getting that clout too, and you're getting that kind of reference. It's like, the same things happen to me in smaller cases. Like, other bigger YouTubers have referenced my channel or video before or goofed on me. Like I've had a YouTuber that I used to watch a lot, and I remember he came up and goofed on me one time, like made fun or something. But whenever that happens in this case, whenever you see someone funny or someone you appreciate do it, it doesn't really hit hard all the time. I mean, sometimes it can, but usually it's just like you're getting made fun of by like a Don Rickles. It's like an insult comic giving you that goof and giving you that kind of thing. But to be frank and specific, let's talk about the Candace Owens reference specifically. Basically, he kind of referenced Candace's new trend where she had that big viral video come out a week ago. We covered it in a couple of videos ourselves and talked about it. Talked about how Candace was basically saying that Black people shouldn't make this guy a martyr. He had a very terrible past, and she made some strong points in there. That video got spread a lot, but Dave Chappelle isn't really for that. Certainly, he's like saying how basically it doesn't matter what Floyd did. He just doesn't care about the past. He's just more concerned about that tragic incident in the video. And then he rips into Candace, kind of saying she's I don't know, trying to water down the situation, like make it okay, saying she's kind of pandering to her base and stuff too. There's more to it, and again, you should check out that section for yourself. But it's just I found it really interesting that Candace gets in there because this chick was like a YouTuber a couple years ago. She was this red pill black chick who just went from left wing to conservative, and now she's shot up and she's like got on Twitter. She's gone to the White House, met the president. Dave Chappelle's goofing on her, and it's just really interesting. And it shows that these topics are relevant. And this is another thing that we cover too. Dave Chappelle has the same kind of mindset in a lot of ways, not the same voice, not the same opinions, but that's to be expected. No one is wanting to be the same. It's boring if we're all thinking the same. And I think the powerful part here is we're the kinds of people that can disagree and not hate each other and not say, hey, you're the worst because you have this wrong opinion or this wrong thought about this. I disagree with this. The important point is unity and bringing people together, especially in these desperate times where things are seeming down and it's easy to get like down and low and depressed and say, hey, there's all this bad stuff going on, but really it could get better. We're going on an upturn. Things are looking up. We have to get low before you can come back up high. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you'll check out Dave Chappelle's special yourself. I got a link to it below. I also have all my own links if you want to check out my Twitter, my other Instagram account and stuff like that. I've also got ways to support the channel, PayPal, Patreon, membership links below. Whatever you fancy, check it out. And thanks again for your time. Hit that like button to get this video shared. And until next time, you guys have a great day.